Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the national and IIUM anthem.
Lead the way, light in the future, share the wisdom to the spirit of Islam. Revelation and reason, shall itself shall prevail. Merging faith and knowledge, we the Khalifa.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera and salam Malaysia Madani to all. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin wa salatu wa salamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. All praises be to Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful. We thank Allah for giving us the opportunity to conduct this program tonight. My name is Nuha Najib, and I'll be the MC for tonight's program. Members of the hall, together with us, our honorable guest, Yang Berhormat Puan Hana Yo, Minister of Youth and Sport, Director of IIUM, Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Dato Zulkifli Abdul Razak, Prof. Akmal Kuzairi bin Abdul Rahman, the Deputy Rector of Student Development and Community Engagement, and Mr. Anas bin Shamsuddin, the Director of Student Affairs of Development Division. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, welcome to With Truth for Youth. To begin with, I would like to invite Brother Mubarak Ahmed to recite the dua. Please welcome.
الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، حمدا حامدين حمدا شاكرين، حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيده. يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك. اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما، وتفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما، ولا تجعل فينا ولا منا ولا معنا شقيا ولا محروما. اللهم يا حي يا قيوم انصر إخواننا في فلسطين وفي كل مكان. اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين في فلسطين. اللهم كن لهم عونا ونصيرا ومؤيدا وظهيرا. اللهم إنا نجعلك في نحور أعدائنا ونعوذ بك من شرورهم. اللهم مدد شملهم وفرق جمعهم وسلط عليهم كلبا من كلابك. يا قهار يا جبار يا منتقم يا الله. اللهم يا منزل الكتاب ويا مجري السحاب ويا هازم الأحزاب اهزمهم وانصرنا عليهم. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم إنا نعوذ برضاك من سخطك وبمعافاتك من عقوبتك، وبك منك لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك. وصل اللهم وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين، والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Amin, Amin, Ya Rabbal Alameen. May the dua just now prosper our program as of tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, with Truth for Youth is a youth empowerment and intellectual discourse that gathers influential youth figures aiming to empower the youth in unleashing their potential of critical thinking and confidence. This talk will specifically stress on how to empower youth from the lens of involvement in health, politics, laws, volunteerism, and entrepreneurship. With that, it brings me a great joy to introduce to you our panelists as of today. Yang Berhormat Puan Hanayu, Minister of Youth and Sport; Dato Muhammad Imran bin Tamrin, the President of Selangor Youth Council; Mr. Kamil Munim, the Political Secretary to the Minister of Finance; Brother Nick Izzuddin Omari, the rising influencer and entrepreneur; not to forget our moderator, Sister Farida Hanif. Ladies and gentlemen, the organizer has prepared a video montage to be presented in a line to the commencement of the program. Please welcome. We thank the media team for making such superb videos. With that, I'm honored to invite the Director of IIUM, Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Dato Zulkifli Abdul Razak, to deliver his welcoming speech. Please welcome.
Terima kasih. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu syafil anbiya mursalin sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. La haula wala quwwata illa billah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Greeting of peace and a very good evening to all, particularly to YB, Hanayo, and just fellow speakers, and of course, all audience brothers and sisters. This is to me and indeed a great night. I immediately recall maybe 50 years ago when I was just like you, trying to find my feet on the ground in trying to articulate some of the issues that we students were concerned with at that particular time. The word empowerment wasn't popular, but still the students are very much in touch with issues on the ground that we become, quote unquote, the custodian of the people around us that speaks about issues to powers that is irrelevant to our concern at that particular time. Of course, the question of poverty is still very much a relevant issue, a question of discrimination, the question of unfair treatment. All these are within the ambits of what we were doing 50 years ago. But I think these are still the issues of concern today. Maybe the dimensions are different, maybe the way it is articulated is different, and the word empowerment becomes a very important word. I would like to congratulate Mahala Sumaya for taking this very bold step to ensure that this word empowerment lives on. And I would like to very quickly relate to this particular word. In our own way, the university, since 2 years ago, when we redesigned the curriculum of the university into the Sejahtera academic framework, we talk about 4 things, which is very important in that curriculum design and also delivery. The first word is empowerment. We are encouraging students and staff to speak their mind, to tell the university what is it that they want out of the university, so that at the end of the day, the university becomes relevant to the issues around the world, and we are also relevant players in trying to make those issues important one in terms of resolving them. So the first word is empowerment, and I'm glad that this word empowerment now is making its way into your life and into your own activities. The second word that we introduced was flexibility. To be empowered is to be flexible. In other words, looking at other alternatives, other ways of doing things, not the stereotype, not the previous way of doing things. How do you open your mind and become very bold to actually implement it so that more solutions will come into being? And for that, the third word is innovation. We are encouraging innovation in various forms, not just those technical innovation that talks about economic well-being. We are talking about innovations that also talk about human well-being at the same time. Sometimes there is no cost to it. How do you become innovative in that particular sense? And last but not least, a very important word is to be accountable. You can do all those things, but please be accountable, please be responsible, and please take responsibility over what you do, over what you say. We don't mind you talking about whatever it is, but you need to be accountable at the end of the day. And therefore, this night is basically a night for us to celebrate, to ensure that empowerment lives on in the spirit of the university, which is betterment for human life and civilization. All this needs to be contextualized in the better way of dignifying human persons, making values relevant to us, and finally translating it into civilization. We have been talking about the civilization thing 40 years ago in 1983, and therefore when the government introduced the word Madani, it is not new to us. We have had experience of 40 years ago in translating this, in arguing it, and making it relevant to the future. And therefore, I do hope you, us all in this university, will make this country a proud one with a kind of articulation, critical thinking, and also being bold in trying to put your ideas forward. So I wish you luck. Inshallah, we will be blessed for the sincere effort that we take, and I do hope this will be an event not for the first time, but also for many other times to come. So thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
And with that, I am greatly honored to invite Yang Berhormat Hanayo, accompanied by Dr. Shamshina, to the stage for the launching ceremony. Please welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, the launching ceremony marks the opening of our event as of tonight. And without further ado, I would like to invite the panelists and the moderators to the stage to kickstart our talk. Please welcome.
Test, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you to the MC and Assalamualaikum and a very good evening. I bet to YB Hanayo, Yang Bahagia, Prof. Emeritus Tan Sri Datuk Zulkifli, respected Deputy Directors, list of panelists that we have today, brothers and sisters and all ladies and gentlemen that we have today. Allow me to start with a pantun ya. Hendak dulang diberi dulang, dulang diberi sagu diisi. Walau jauh telah ku terbang, IIUM tetap di hati. Okay, it always I told my friend when I post a poster that I'm the moderator here, they're all like, why are you still doing this? You left the university 2 years ago, right? But it's always good to be back. I'm not sure if my assignment shows I actually took leave today so that I can be more prepared. So I hope Dr. Shamsina is proud of me. So, allow me to start my first duty. Let me introduce the speaker. So first of all, no introduction is needed. Our very own Minister of Youth and Sports. I always remember her as the very first female speaker of the Selangor State Legislative Assembly. Give your round of applause to YB Hanayo. I think like a year ago, right, YB, like almost a year ago, we have the same line with Dato as well, except we probably with Dato Mukris and also YB Fadlina. So how are you today?
I'm well. Thank you so much for inviting me to come and be part of the forum tonight.
All right. So next we have the President of Majlis Belia Selangor, Datuk Muhammad Imran bin Tamrin. This is also my second time moderating with Datuk as a panel.
Yeah,
He's my super senior in ICOL. How are you, Datuk?
okay, thank you for inviting me again to coming to IIUM. Alhamdulillah, I'm good.
The next one, we have the rising name within the political sphere, the Political Secretary to the Minister of Finance, Mr. Muhammad Kamil Abdul Munin. Also, I was told my super senior from ICOL. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
Hello. Alhamdulillah, I'm good. It's good to be back at the IIU, you know. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Thank you.
When did you graduate?
2013, I think 10 years ago.
And last but not least, we have the young entrepreneur, the social media content creator, also my senior from ICOL, Brother Nick Izzuddin Omari. How are you? Thank you for being here with us.
I'm good, Alhamdulillah. Thank you for having me here. It's truly an honor to be here again in IIUM to share back my experiences and journey in IIUM. Thank you for having me here.
Feel like I'm a bit timid today because I have 3 of my seniors on the stage with me. So, okay, without further ado, let's just start ahead with the first introductions of the topic that we have today. So, I go with YB Hanayo first. As the Minister of Youth and Sport, what is youth empowerment to you? And like realistically, and how exactly you plan to realize it within the position that you have today?
Okay. Good evening, Tan Sri, Professor, and students here. First of all, I can't stay long, so I'll be here up to 9:30, and I'm so grateful that you have allowed me to answer the questions that are related to me first. Now, your first question is, what is youth empowerment to me realistically? I like the word realistically because without that word about reality, we can all imagine how youth empowerment is going to look like, how much money we have to actually empower youth. But when you are back to reality, then you have to work within your scope. So let me first start off by saying, Kementerian Belia dan Sukan, we look after youth and sports. But what is the youth population of Malaysia? The youth population of Malaysia is about 30%, 9 million youth. Okay. Now, who is a youth? Under our Akta, anyone who is above 15 but below 40. In 2019, Parliament made an amendment to this definition. It says youth should be 15 to 30 years old. But this law has not been enforced yet. So we are now sorting out with Majlis Belia Malaysia to ensure a smooth transition so that all the Persatuan Belia can transition, especially their leadership position, they can hand over to people who are 30 years of age. Now, why is this amendment important? This amendment important because today an 18-year-old person can go out and vote and change the government. They can decide on who will lead this country. So that is the ultimate youth empowerment, if you ask me. An 18-year-old can decide the fate of this country. Now, if 18 years old can do that, to tell an 18 years old person that 40 years old also youth, the 18 one cannot relate. It's just like I'm in my 40s. Anyone here 18? Anyone here 18 years old? Yeah. If I marry young, the 18-year-old can be my child. So you cannot put us in the same category, and that's why we must progress with time. That's why this amendment has to take place ASAP, if you ask me. But we are working out in Majlis Belia Malaysia, and we will ensure that the smooth transition will happen. We are targeting 2026 for that transition. Now, who should I look after when I talk about portfolio of sports? It should be everybody, right? From a child to a senior citizen, everybody should be having an active lifestyle and also engage in sports. So beginning next year, Kementerian Belia dan Sukan will look into sports for warga emas. Because if we don't look after them, we are going to be paying a lot of money, your tax money, to healthcare. Okay? So now we want to make sure that we are not just looking after young people, but very wholesome when we talk about sports. So realistically, how much money do I have to empower youth and look after sports? Just a comparison. The budget of Kementerian Belia dan Sukan is 1 billion ringgit. 1 billion ringgit. How much does Kementerian Pendidikan Tinggi get? KPT. Also looking after youth. KPT gets 16 billion ringgit. 16 times more than me. How much does KPM get? Kementerian Pendidikan Malaysia. KPM gets 58 billion ringgit, 58 times more than me. So realistically, even though I look after youth, I always tell KBS, let's look at the money that we have. What can we do with this money? How can we empower people based on this money that we have? Okay? So when we talk about not wasting money, because we only have 1 billion, we have to ensure that we don't duplicate the work of KPM and KPT. Okay? Now, KPT will do everything to empower young people like in universities. So when I look at the programs of KBS, in the previous years, they focused many programs all on kepimpinan, leadership. Majority of our programs are on leadership, Fellow Perdana, Parliament Belia, Malaysia Future Leaders School. Okay? Everything is about leadership. So I say if KPT is looking into leadership, KPM also doing leadership, KBS also doing leadership, who is going to look after youth who are involved in drugs? Who's going to look after youth who are bankrupt? Who's going to look after youth who are drowning? Okay, so this is how we lead KBS now. We say, let's look at data because your theme is with truth for youth. If you want to empower youth, you have to look at the truth. What is affecting our young people in Malaysia today? So I tell all the agencies, present to me the social problems in Malaysia, the top 10. I will then drive KBS based on our policies and intervention to solve those social problems. And that's how we started in December last year talking about youth who are bankrupt. Today in Parliament, you will see amendment, and next year also, Prime Minister has announced a budget for second chance for young people. Because if you don't help the youth who are bankrupt, they cannot get married, they cannot buy a house, they cannot raise a family. Okay, and if we don't look after this group and you just focus on kepimpinan, the 10%, your numbers here will grow. And they will fall under JKM, welfare, and taxpayers will then have to look after this group of population. Every day, more and more young people are becoming bankrupt. Huh? Do you know why? Because it's so easy to get a personal loan. You walk in shopping mall, they'll approach you, you want a credit card, you get SMS and text, 10,000, 12,000. And so this is one problem. The other one is about drowning problem. Why we have started free swimming class for youth and young people in Malaysia. Because the data from Ministry of Health shows that 1 year, about 500 young people drown. 500 is a lot. That's like half a school drown. Why, you have to ask? How come young people don't know how to swim? So let's look at swimming pools. You have to learn how to swim, you have to have rivers and swimming pool, right? Those days, Tan Sri's time, you can find public pools. PKNS all will have swimming pools everywhere. But today, you cannot find any more. Why? Because maintenance is high. So where can you find swimming pool now? Condominiums. So what does that create? It creates a gap between the rich young people and the poor young people. So a generation of poor young Malaysians cannot swim, and rich people can swim. How do we fix this? So we tell KBS, now you take money and you give free swimming lesson to B40 children. But with 1 billion ringgit, 60% go towards paying salary of staff and rental and all that. You have 400 million for development. So I cannot teach all 9 million youth how to swim, right? With very little money, let's go with data. So we contacted PDRM and we say, show me the hotspot where drowning incidents happen. So based on the hotspot, we then conduct free lesson. You know, the free lessons only take 6 classes, the child can swim. We work with our certified swimmers, and these are all our young athletes, and we provide. So this year, 7,000 children have graduated from B40 families, close to PPR, hotspot areas, and they can swim. So the families are all on waiting list, and they say next year please double this list because now the kids can swim. I have a family, when we interview them, the mother said that the child wears the swimming suit the day before class. They look forward to Saturday going to a swimming pool because they have never gotten this chance. So I want all of you to focus on school holiday. The moment school holiday hits, you read the news. You will read about drowning incident, whether it's in swimming pool or rivers. Because young people have no activities, so they go and find places like that to swim. So swimming is a skill that you give. You talk about empowerment. You empower with the skill to swim. They can swim for life. So that's something we are doing. And the Prime Minister agrees with this concept, and next year we're given money to continue with this swimming lesson. But ideally, I think, if we're talking about empowerment, it should not be based on B40. It would be lovely to have swimming lessons, something that Dr. Mazli spoke about. Now, when Dr. Mazli, the last education minister, spoke about swimming lesson, everybody laughed and mocked him, from outside. The implementation was problematic because he talked about going to hotels. But actually, the idea behind it is very noble and is very needed to save lives. And ideally now, I think, if this is working, it should be in all Darjah 1 class. You should teach every child this basic skill because we are surrounded by rivers, tasik and all that. And this is something that Malaysians should know because we have a lot of rain every year. Okay, so that's one idea how you use data, the truth, the numbers speak, and with the limited money, you work with partners to do this. I talk about time, what do we empower young people with? So we have brought back Rakan Muda. Rakan Muda, this year, we reactivated it in May, Prime Minister launched it, and we have introduced 10 new Gaya Hidup. Rakan Muda, the difference between Rakan Muda my time and Rakan Muda today, Rakan Muda back then was implemented in school. Why was Rakan Muda introduced in 1994? Last time they had this gejala social, they call it Masalah Bosia. I don't know whether you know about Bosia. Masalah lepak. Before internet, before all of us had smartphone, young people lepak in Dataran Merdeka. And I remember the propaganda on TV back then. Every time news, they will show young people just lepak at Dataran Merdeka. They say, this is gejala bosia, don't just lepak, go and find something productive to do. And so they introduced Rakan Muda. But today, even if somebody is just at Dataran Merdeka, but they are on their smartphone, probably reading a very informative article, you cannot call that bosia, you cannot call that lepak. They are empowering themselves with information from this smartphone. And so times have changed. Because of that, Rakan Muda must change also. So today, Rakan Muda is no longer done in school, it's done outside for youth 15 to 30 years old. We partner with everybody. How can university partner with us? Because Rakan Muda is about creating activities for young people to network, to just come out together, find common interests. So you have 10 Gaya Hidup. If you like motorsport, then you have Rakan Lita. If you like e-sports, Rakan Digital. If you like singing, dancing, break dance, then you have Rakan Expressi. So we are trying to create different cohorts, different lifestyle to fit every young person's interest in Malaysia. You are definitely going to find one that you like. What you got to do, you just go to KBS, you register, choose the Rakan that you like, register based on the kawasan that you live in. Then they have a list of activities that you can join. These activities are free. So if you live in Sarawak, you can join Rakan Bumi. They explore the caves. Some of them explore cleaning rivers. In Kuala Lumpur, you have Rakan Prihatin. What do? You do plogging. Plogging means gotong royong. You visit old folks' home. So all these are meant for you to come out to meet people your age who like the same thing. What kind of benefit we give you? Last time they give you a sigil. Today you give a young person sigil, they don't really want sigil. So we have to find new partners. So we partner with Foodpanda, Grab, Lazada, Shopee. You be part of Rakan Muda, they give you discount voucher. Okay? So this is how we have to constantly find ways to attract young people to join. So Rakan Muda, next year, Prime Minister has given us 20 million ringgit. We partner with your university. Actually, anybody can be a partner of Rakan Muda. The programs that you do, like today, this forum done by you can be a Rakan Mahir program. So we tell all Kementerian, please feel free to use our logo because there's no money involved. It involves participants who come, part of Rakan Muda, then you enjoy the discount voucher. So we are still finding ways to improve Rakan Muda. So anybody can do Rakan Muda. So at the end of the day, what I want to tell you is, what I look at as empowerment is really looking at social problems or limitations or hindrances blocking our young people's path. They are blocking their way to excel. And removing these hindrances, these roadblocks, working with different Kementerians and partnering with different Kementerians to remove the roadblocks so that they can be whoever they want to be, 100%, they can achieve their potential. That to me is empowerment. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mary. I actually park at Dataran Merdeka almost every day now, so I can attest to the lepak culture, but I wouldn't call them bosia definitely now. Okay, now we've seen what the Minister of Youth and Sport is planned to do or like already been doing. So we go to Dato' Imran. You're the president of Majlis Belia. You deal with youth all the time. So why and what exactly youth empowerment to you?
Thank you, Sister Moderator. I think our minister here already explained about the empowerment itself. regarding the youth and how it relates to youth activities. So actually, in Malaysia, we have one act that govern these all activities and also policies regarding to the youth development and also youth empowerment. So under Akta Pembangunan Belia dan Sukan, Akta Pertubuhan Belia and also Pembangunan Belia, they already put a guideline and also determine the policies and all that initiative done by Kementerian Belia dan Sukan are all based on whatever mentioned in the Akta Belia, Akta Pembangunan Belia. For example, like our minister said just now, the swimming class to avoid our youth or young person from drowning because of our current climate, our current ecosystem. We have banjir and some of our children's could drown. So this is what we call it as kemahiran hidup under the Act. Survival, how we treat and how we determine regarding this issue, how we make the interventions. But after all, our dilemma just now, especially under the Gerakan Belia or youth movement under Majlis Belia Malaysia or Majlis Belia Negeri Selangor, is we are too focused on leaderships. There are too much activities and program done by each and every, not necessarily KBS, Kementerian Belia dan Sukan, but also other ministries focus on the leaderships. And everyone who participate or involved in what we call as youth societies have the awareness, they have the intentions
And you
to
always,
be part of the leaders.
You always see like the same people going to this. Yes.
Yeah. And then there are some of our youth or youngsters left out. For example, maybe the youth with the minority, like our minister said just now, the ex-convict among the youth, after they finish their sentence, so where they go? So who guide them? Who sambut dia keluar and back in the societies? This is among others that we need to focus and that we need to work on, together with the Majlis Belia Malaysia, Majlis Belia Negeri-Negeri and also Majlis Belia Daerah-Daerah and other persatuan or pertubuhan belia registered under the Akta Pembangunan Belia. So we need to engage them and promote the awareness. And furthermore, we also to focus on the latest demand in the industry, especially TVET. This is also very important that we need to focus on because this is among issues arises among the youngsters and the youth about the economy, about the career, job placement, educations and everything. This is something that we need to address not only at the Kementerian level, but it must be go to the ground together with our partners, our strategic partners like Majlis Belia, other ministries, agencies, universities, research institute, to together with us to give a full empowerment. Later on, the ultimatum or the objective is that later in Malaysia, we hope that a person or a young person, a youth with the range of age 15 to 30 can make a better matured decision, especially regarding to the nation building. Not necessarily they must participate or involve in politics, but they must have an awareness or knowledge about how politics works and how politics contributes to the nation buildings. This is also very important because I think most of the youth or most of the young person avoid from participating into the politics. But they must know that politics is very important. This is not necessarily regarding the leadership. You are not necessary to be a political leaders, but you must also participate and have an awareness, or otherwise it will not work towards the nation building. And we have other programs. Nowadays, we also support the current government to revolve again the program Latihan Himat Negara and other programs under Kementerian Belia dan Sukan and everything. So our functions under youth societies or youth activists is to facilitate these matters so that we can achieve the same mission and visions of the country to develop and empower youth. And of course, we at Majlis Belia Negeri and Majlis Belia Malaysia always engage with the various segments of youth. Even in universities, we have GPMS, we have PERPIAS, we have PKPIM, and some of other youth societies in universities. And even actually pengakap, our scouts is also part of MBM or Majlis Belia Malaysia punya part of our component in the youth development and youth societies. So this will empower and give a room, give an avenue to the students, to the youth to participate and to involve in whatever segment you need. And your voice can be heard, your participation will be appreciated, and this will contribute to the more empowerment and also to the more youth related program activities towards the nation building and also towards achieving the objective. Thank you.
Thank you, Dato'. I think you mentioned slightly on TVET and employability. We'll get to that. We have like specific segment for that. So I'll go to Mr. Kamil first. You're very synonymous with your political involvement and like among the young face, I would say, still within the political sphere. And do you think that empowerment of youth and the involvement in politics are the same? Are they like, is it the same thing? And what is your view on youth empowerment in general?
Right, thank you, sister. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam Malaysia Madani. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Nahmaduhu wa nasalli ala rasulihil karim. Fellow panelists, brothers and sisters, first and foremost, I would like to express my gratitude. It's good to be back at the IIUM. I studied here. I started my activism. I was a student activist involved in the youth campus election back then, and somehow it has shaped what I am part of the process of which I am today. You know, and of course we have a lot of platform and medium when we talk about youth empowerment. YB Hana mentioned about the government through its policy come up with initiatives and programs to make sure that the young people, the youth, can be empowered through a government's program. And MBM as the main organization to deal and handle the youth also play their part. And the other platform is, of course, we have the activism, we have politics, and some people, some students or some youth, they have different orientation. Some of them, they might have interest in politics. Some of them, they might want to contribute to the society, but not through a political platform, through NGOs. But of course, there are advantages and benefit of being in both sides. For example, as I mentioned earlier, I started with student activism in this university. I think Dr. Akmal Uzairi, is part of the living witness, during that particular time. If we follow the student movement in this country, we had a moment where, there is a time where student activism is at the peak. And then suddenly, it goes down, and after several years, after 10 years, then it goes back. During my time, I think around 2010 to 2013, it was a peak moment of the student movement. At that time, we have this the so-called organization of SMM, Solidarity Mahasiswa Malaysia, and joined by the other students organization. Apa dipanggil PAS punya tu apa? No, Gamis, you know, Gamis, is it Gamis? Now WUFI. No, WUFI is a movement within UIA, but at the national level, it was Gamis, if I'm not mistaken, Gabungan Mahasiswa Islam se-Malaysia, and we have the rep from even from UMNO side, from DAPs and other political parties at that time. If I can recall, if I can share with brothers and sisters today, my time, at that time, there was a crisis regarding the instruction given to Professor Dr. Abdul Aziz Bari to resign at that time due to some commentary or remarks he made during that time. So I was the last batch for Dr. Abdul Aziz Bari. So we were kind of, you know, at that time we were expressing our disappointment and dissatisfaction towards the university, and of course, in accordance with the rules and regulation, Prof. It wasn't, you know, something that we just, you know, blatantly revolt against the administration. We were questioning the reason why, because we think at that particular of time, he was the one of the prominent figures as constitutional expert that we have at that time, and we should have protected him from, you know, external conduct or act that trying to remove him from our institution. So that was a starting point. And then after that, I involved directly in politics after graduated from IIU. I involved with the Parti Keadilan Rakyat. And after that, I was, you know, when started the career, you know, I was in practice, legal practice for 8 years. And after that, in 2021, I decided to, you know, seriously involved in politics. I contest in the party election, and then contest in the general election last year in the GE15, and now being appointed as a political secretary to the Minister of Finance. Being a student, this is, you know, sharing with brothers and sisters, we shouldn't be scared. You know, this is a period, this is a time where we always wanted to express our idealism. What do we believe? But we need to be careful at the same time, because sometimes, most of us, some of us, especially students, we tend or we used to react based on the sentiment rather than the facts and knowledge. Because university's time is a moment where we used to, you know, associate ourselves with the groups of students' movement. We have a lot of, you know, what we call this jama'ah, or group of, you know, people that, you know, preach something very specific, and somehow and sometimes we tend to follow it blatantly rather than we, you know, really understand the cost of fighting for it. And of course, around the world, the trend is what? For the youth, for the students, the trend is you must go anti-establishment. Then only you will look cool. You know, now when I am now right now in the government, you know, as part of the government, so when we deal with the students, then I remember I used to be like what, you know, the students are having right now. You know, you go against entire establishment because, you know, the youth, they always react in such manner. in such way. But of course, our duty right now and responsibility is to not to just come up with a good policy for the youth, but also to take this opportunity and this medium to make sure that we can cultivate a good values, virtues, because this is something that we have lost in our societies. Look, now I always regard that our time, right now, the world, this era, is a post-normal time, or what we call, the other term is the post-truth era, where the truth is no longer important. What is important is information. Once you get the information, you tend to spread the information easily without having tabayyun, what we used to call it tabayyun, to verify and to check the veracity of the information. I always give this one example. I'm in this one WhatsApp group. The so-called WhatsApp group is a Qaryah surau or masjid at my hometown. There is one day, the imam of the surau, he forwarded a message in the group where it states that don't say salam, because salam means celaka lah ke atas kamu. And then say assalamu alaikum, because it means peace be upon you. And this has been reminded to me in my dream last night. Saya berjumpa dengan Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam gini. And then at the end, maybe spread to 10 people. Failing which you will face some musibah lah afterwards. Something. It's how the message being spread to the people. But you imagine an imam in kampung, about 60 years old, when receives such message, salam means celaka. I mean, he can't reason. He can't reason at all. It's just that because for the sake, he forwarded the message basically because someone said that someone has been told in the dream by the Prophet, and you have to send to 10 people, failing which you will be cursed. It's so easy. I mean, it's a basic word. As a Muslim, as a practicing Muslim, living as a Muslim for 60 years old, the simple word of salam, you can interpret or you can understand. It means what? It means peace, sejahtera, it's damai, or submission. But how can salam become celaka lah ke atas kamu? Because of what? This is what has been mentioned by the late Professor Dr. Syed Hussein Al-Attas. When he touched on the role of the intellectuals in the developing society, the problem with our society is that kita ini menghadapi masalah apa yang disebut sebagai kaum bebal ataupun disebut sebagai kaum pandir. I mean, yang terpaksa kita hadapi dalam masyarakat yang ada pada hari ini. Because of why? Because we tend to follow emotion. We tend to follow sentiment. We don't care about the fact. We don't care the truth. We just want to be with the majority, with the mass. So, that is why Yang Muhammad, Prime Minister, when he took over the position as a Prime Minister, this gagasan, the idea of Malaysia Madani, is actually we're trying to fix the fundamental issues in our society. It's just not within the society, it's also touched on the issue of administration and whatnot. The values is about respect, ihsan, freedom, justice that must be understood by the society in order to make sure that we can progress further. So the youth especially, those who are in the higher institutions, we should appreciate more on this. Learning in the classroom, in the lecture hall, it's not just about achieving excellence in the examination, but also to become a great person. I mean, if we can learn from the history of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how did our Prophet, start his, leadership? It's by akhlaq, shakhsiyah, a good leading by good example. And by doing that, as what we just sang just now, we shall excel and we shall prevail. Wisdom and reason, this is how, our society should be encouraged to practice in our daily life, regardless whether we are students, workers, teachers, lecturers, in whatever things that we do, we have to understand that without values, we are meaningless, we are nothing. And of course, the importance of the youth nowadays to be involved more in the activities on the ground, mix around with the society, contribute back to the society. In what capacity do you have? Then it is, will shape and further strengthen our relationship with the society, with the people around us, and to further enlighten our skills and understanding and purpose of having life in this world. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Kamal. I couldn't agree more. I think especially in terms of all this facts checking. I always tell my friend, you should know what you believe. Sometimes we just tend to believe. If this kind of thing that affect mentality, it's still, you can change, right? But the worst is once you start to believe and it affects you, even financially, all these scammers thing, even the youth now are falling trapped to it. And I think it's very misfortunate. So, Brother Nick, I think compared to politically involved, you're very business-minded, right? So you're an entrepreneur. So can you tell us what is youth empowerment to you?
Hi everyone, thank you Sister Farida for that question. And thank you everyone for having me here. It was my honor. It's truly an honor for me to come back again to this IIUM, walaupun baru graduate je last year. So youth empowerment for me, we giving an opportunity to youth, to young people, to actually take lead of their life. And it covers many aspects. It doesn't cover only politics, but it covers areas of entrepreneur, education, mentorship. It covers areas of, can be mental well-being or many other aspects. So for me personally, how actually, as a youth, what do we actually need to do is actually to be involved in academic. That's number one. And this university is actually a place for you to grow yourself in terms of academic, life skills, values that you should have as a student. So for me personally, I'll just tell you guys based on my experience in ICOL, because I'm not a politician, I don't have position in society, so I'm just happen to be an ICOL alumni and entrepreneur. So my time in ICOL, Ahmad Ibrahim Kuliah of Law, which is my kuliah, is really a turning point for me. Because, I was born and grew up in a small village in Kelantan, so kampung kecil je, betul-betul sempadan Thailand. Then there was little social and education development there. So I have to move to KL, and I started to continue my study in CFS IIUM, at that time in Petaling Jaya. So the opportunity are vast. The opportunity there are vast. Then the learning system is different to the extent that, awal-awal masuk kan culture shock juga sebab kita orang kampung tiba-tiba datang ke bandar. Even bercakap sekarang pun akan bunyi slang-slang Kelantan tu. So even cakap English pun pernah I join debating class in English. So orang cakap macam, oh bunyi Kelantan lah. Dah memang Kelantan. Macam mana? Tak boleh ubah. So it was a turning point when I entered UIA, especially, I even, masa I masuk CFS, IIM, PJ, I even failed my first paper, which is RKA at that time, because, we need to adapt with new culture and new society. And then this new environment, over time, benda tu akan jadi normalized. Over time, I adapt to this situation, this new environment. So this new environment actually kick-started my personal growth and learning journey. So even when I continue my study in main campus, it went bigger. And in main campus, it's not that I'm not focusing on academic, but apart from academic, co-curriculum activities, sport activities, and live venues, I also build my own personal branding because I love to be in social media. I love to do content, I love to make videos, I love to share my experience in business, hiking, my law journey. So during my last year, I remember I started with only 3,000 followers on my TikTok. So I just share all the videos and content. I don't know, something sparks my motivation to be that content creator. And when TikTok came in, I do videos, more videos. I share about my experience. Then suddenly, some of the videos went into FYP. So it hits around 2 million or 3 million viewers, which is organic viewers. Bukan beli, organic viewers. So that shows you have a place in the society to advocate them, to tell something, to give some beneficial information to them. So it went from 3,000 to 5,000 to 10,000, then it went to 100,000 and 160,000 followers. It is not something to proud of, but that is where I started my career as a content creator. People pay me for the brand endorsement that I did with them. I collaborated with Nike, I collaborated with Oppo, Nutella, I collaborated with TikTok, Lazada. So that's where my source of income come from. Because I was born in Kelantan, then my parents passed away when I was in Form 2. Since then, I live with my sisters. So the only source of income is through my hard work and determination. So social media through that TikTok platform, actually, my social media platform, I got to meet a lot of people like Errol Sama here. We have Raja Comment here. We have Hari Rezal here. And then that's where we meet people from the same industry. So apart from that, public, I think that's the main reason because I was invited today to share on how my content creator journey works, or my content creator journey is. So apart from that, I have the opportunity to join events and society in ICOL as well, in IIUM, that really shaped who I am today, where I was appointed to be chairperson for the Welfare Secretariat of Law Student Society. And it was really a tiring and challenging position because under me there are 50 members committees and 5 bureaus. And one of the most impactful program, I think, under Welfare Secretariat is food distribution. And that food distribution actually is really a hustle for me and for everyone involved. I think Zu Ezra is one of the volunteers there because, in executing that programs, food distribution, every single week. So we have classes, everyone have classes. How are we going to execute that one? So we sit down together, we discuss, we make a roster duty system where those who have classes, because we are lack of funding, so we cannot buy a packed food yang dah siap-siap bungkus. So what we do is actually we get the raw materials, tu lagi jimat, then we cook ourselves, prepare ourselves the food, and then we distribute. So those who have classes at evening will actually, help to distribute after the lectures, and people who don't have classes will actually prepare and cook the food. So that program instill in yourself a sense of responsibility towards ICOLians. So it can also help, it will help, I think definitely, teamwork, leadership, time and stress management. Because at that time, it's really stressful to think about that. Because you hold not only, at that time I hold not only chairperson for the Welfare Secretariat, but I was also a program manager for Caring Club. So Caring Club also have their own big programs like Run for Orphans 4. So that one we managed to gather around 1,500 participants, and we raised funds for almost around 30,000 ringgit in profit through that events. So it's really stressful to jaga dua events, and that's where the stress management skills come in. Leadership skills come in. So benda-benda tu really helps me in becoming the person who I am today. So youth empowerment, the aspect is vast. It's not only limited to education, but it's also, extend to entrepreneur, it extend to mental well-being, it's also extend to many other areas of youth empowerment. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Brother Nick. I think whether you agree or not, if in today's world, anything that you want to reach the youth with, if you're not using the platform of social media, you are not doing it right. So we should have more people showing the right leadership using all of this platform. Okay, I was told that YB Hanayo might need to leave us early, so I think I will just focus with few things with YB Hanayo. So let's jump straight to the reality of empowerment. So YB Hanayo, like as a woman, right? I always wonder why is it the trend, like even from a few years ago, you will see that in university, women make up to like 60% of the students. But similar whether you're in politics or whether you're in a corporate world, you will see that women will remain minority. And I used to not like it, and I feel sad about it. But then, now that I'm working, I kind of get it though. I kind of get it, and I personally don't think it's an issue for women to choose not to be, to prioritize work or to be striving. But do you think this is dangerous mindset? Or do you think that we should push women? How do you actually view women in terms of this youth empowerment?
I see a lot of girls in the hall tonight. I see more girls than boys. And I see that's probably the trend in a lot of universities. We see a lot of girls getting higher education, but that number does not translate in the workforce. So you can have very high percentage of girls in university, but the data for women in workforce will show you that only 60% of women, less than 60%, we are actually at 56% women are working. So for every 2 girls, you only have 1 working. The other girl is at home, right? So when we talk about youth empowerment, we have to start asking all these young people in this hall here, including the boys, if I ask you to think of one thing that is causing you to slow down in your pursuit of your dreams, what is that one thing? That roadblock is the thing that we need to work on to empower you. Because without that roadblock in your life, you probably will fulfill all your potentials. So youth empowerment in this room will look very different for each person. For one girl here, it could be a relationship problem. You want to empower her, you get rid of the relationship or the toxic relationship. For another girl here, it could be weight problem. If I'm healthier, if I don't have this health issue, I can do more with my life. To another young girl, it could be childcare. Because of lack of childcare, I cannot work, I cannot pursue my dream, I cannot do PhD. For another boy here, another young man here, it could be an addiction problem that is causing you to not focus. So in a seminar like this, you cannot focus because probably you have an addiction to pornography, right? Drugs. Our data shows that more and more girls are involved in drugs. In fact, in Malaysia, the data for drug addiction shows that the trend is rising not for young people alone, it's rising for senior citizens. You have to ask yourself, why are your grandparents involved in drugs? Start thinking why. Why last time don't have, why now got? Because a lot of people are online now, including your grandparents. A lot of people can buy things online. Last time they have no access. Grandparents are on Facebook, you know. I'm sure you know. Right? And there's a lot of, that's why I say we need to start thinking about those who retire early at the age of 60. If they are not engaged into something else with their time, they will get hooked onto something else. I was just looking at our data for social problem. You know, pornography, based on official data, how many people arrested and that problem is so little, you know. Pornography tahun 2022, 18 orang. I don't believe there's only 18 orang involved or addicted to pornography in Malaysia. Tahun 2021, 27 orang. Okay? So, to me, if you want to empower youth, remove the roadblocks. So that's why we need to start talking more about the roadblocks affecting young people. Don't think that it's a stigma. Our data shows domestic violence is a social problem, drug addiction, gambling, online gambling, the numbers are huge. Okay, so now you don't have to just walk into a 4D shop. You can buy and do online gaming. Football betting. Okay, football betting is not sports, It's an addiction problem. So we are now talking to PDRM also on how to solve addiction problem. So for me, youth empowerment, I want to stop looking at leadership program because that one will take care by itself. Universities will be doing, KPT will be doing. KBS, I want to be data-driven based on social problems, remove the roadblocks for our young people so that they can be fully empowered. I just want to give you a classic example. We have a lot of athletes in Bukit Jalil. Okay? So when I went to Tokyo recently, I found out that for the athletes, especially the girls athletes, there is a whole university looking into women in sports. In that university, they look at how your monthly period is affecting our athlete. Girls will know every month we have what we call period, right? And for some girls, it can be very disruptive because it can be very painful. And for some people, we talk about period leave. They can't even come to work because it's that bad for them. Okay? This is a real problem, but unless we address it, it will affect productivity of our girls. And so when we look at athletes, there's a whole university in Japan talking about things like that. Sanitary pads that are more suitable for female athletes. But if we don't talk about it here, you know what's going to happen? You're going to get men, boys excelling, and our girl athletes, they are affected. So I decided to have a town hall with all the girl athletes. You know, they ask very, very basic questions that they cannot ask a male coach. They can't talk about it with their trainers. And then a basic problem, they say, you know, when they have this problem, they are then referred to government hospital to see a specialist. But as athletes, you train many hours in a day. You cannot go and queue like normal people at the hospital. So they say, can you have an in-house gynae for us athletes in Bukit Jalil? And then we look at it and we say, half of our athletes are girls. We should have this in-house facility for our girl athletes. And so we have now launched Clinic Wanita for our athletes. They don't have to go out and queue anymore. There is now in-house gynae for them. So it's basic things like this, which I think universities can also look at. How can we just constantly be removing roadblocks for our young people? Then they can fulfill all their potential. Okay, so I look forward to engaging more and more with the universities. I hope that we will start talking about real social problems that affect young people and not just be focusing on data like pengangguran, youth unemployment. We're always talking about youth unemployment, right? We're always talking about, tell them don't smoke, don't vape, don't take drugs. But this message has been playing on for every year. We have been spending same money for drug prevention, but not knowing why are people into drugs today. Why are girls taking drugs? Why are senior citizens taking drugs? So in our latest meeting with TPM looking into drugs problem, I say we have to start asking the young people, start interviewing the young people, why are they taking drugs? Is it related to divorce at home? Is it related to young people wanting to numb their pain? They don't want to remember this problem at home. You know, until and unless we deal with this kind of problems, that means the drug budget must work together hand in hand with Majlis Agama's budget. You know, perkawinan counseling's budget. We have to work together to solve that problem. Otherwise, you can have all kinds of photos on the cigarette box. It's never going to stop people from smoking because we are not dealing with the root cause that is leading them to the cigarette box. Yeah, so let's have more engagement like that, and I'm very hopeful, especially with young influencers like Nick. If we can really use our social media effectively to solve these problems, I really believe that you give the data to the young people, the solutions are found with the young people. You know how to reach out to your generation, and you'll be a far more effective voice than any agencies put together. But so you have to be engaged with the government, so that your ideas will come out. Yeah, thank you.
That's why we... Are you okay with another question, or are you leaving now?
One more question.
One more question. Okay, so last question is, within the industry of before we had Industrial 4.0 and then 5.0, and then now I read even a Future 6.0, I cannot even catch up, right? So I know that Malaysia is trying very hard to produce youth that is marketable, and that's why we are having all of this TVET program. So can you enlighten us on this TVET program especially, and is it actually working?
Okay. Guess how many kementerians are involved in TVET? TVET is Kemahiran Hidup Khusus, right? How many kementerian jaga TVET? Huh? 12 kementerian. Setiap kementerian ada bajet sendiri untuk TVET. Itu sebab Perdana Menteri telah mengarahkan Timbalan Perdana Menteri untuk chair satu jawatan kuasa untuk menyelaraskan all this TVET. So they have now launched a website. You can go and check it out under Kementerian Sumber Manusia, where they list out all the TVET. Even KBS is doing TVET with the very little money we have. Okay? And you know what's our TVET problem? I tell you honestly, I think we have to revamp our TVET courses to make it shorter. When I went to see our TVET courses, for 2 years they learn one skill. Nowadays on internet, you can learn a skill in 3 minutes, 1 hour, short videos, right? So young people want fast. They cannot wait 2 years to learn one particular skill. And that's why we are losing out to gig economy, because people feel that if I learn 2 years on how to polish a car, when I can learn that online and I can go and take a short course and I can be faster. So that's why our TVET courses are not very popular. But the moment they are locked in, when they come out, their employability rate is very high. Our TVET students, more than 90% of them will get a job immediately after they graduate. So now this Jawatan Kuasa will coordinate with all these kementerian and to see how we can attract young people to join TVET courses, but at the same time, linking the partnership directly with private parties, so that the moment they graduate, they straight away are locked into a job. So a lot of us are signing MOUs with people like Petronas, Sunway Group, all these different existing partners, so that we don't waste time, there will be matching. Okay? Under Kementerian, we have asked for TVET courses to be done in short weekend courses. We call it Skill for Life, also partner under Rakan Muda. So on weekend, I want to teach young people how to cut hair. We found out during the lockdown, cutting hair is a skill that once you have it, you can start giving that service everywhere. All you need is just a pair of scissors, and they can make money. In Kelantan, our Skill for Life weekend is polishing car. They go from house to house to polish and get side income. For youth here, they want to know how to make coffee. A lot of people want to know how to be a content creator. So that's the skill that they want. So Rakan Muda is now looking more into Saturday and Sunday, giving that skill. For some of us, we don't even know how to change a Gaston at home. How many of you actually know how to change a Gaston? Put up your hand, honestly. How many of you don't know? Put up your hand. You see, this is university. Tak tahu change Gaston. Majority, you see, it's a real problem. You know how I also discovered that? Masa lockdown. I also realized with a law degree and a wakil rakyat, I don't know how to change a Gaston because I've not done it. We always rely on other people to do it. But when you don't have the service, then you realize, oh my gosh, it's so important to give to our young people the skills that our grandparents possess. You know, our grandparents' generation in Malaysia, even though they have very little money, but they were all very skillful. They know how to make batik, They know how to make so many things to survive. Today, without this thing, we cannot survive already. All of us, you surrender your handphone before you enter, right? They already feel 2 hours, I don't know what to do, restless. Yeah, so times have changed. We have to equip our young people. So that's the Hala Tuju of TVET now. At the highest level, we are coordinating that. Okay, thank you so much for coming. I do hope that you will continue to have engagement like that. Thank you.
My mom is in the audience, and I think she said I'm lying because I didn't raise my hand. I also don't know how to change guest song. Okay, YB, thank you so much for being with us today. Okay, so, okay. Noted. All right, let's carry on. Dr. Kamil, I actually still want to talk about this Tibet thing. So I think there's not much yet being done in terms of making sure, which is actually the real problem is employability. You need the money as a graduate, right? So even if it's not Tibet, can you at least enlighten us what should we do to make sure that employability problem, which is a real problem, and actually the main problem among youth, can be solved?
Okay, so we just make way to our guest of honor. So we come back to our business to again discuss our topic today. So just now what you said just now about Tibet, can you come again?
No, I think since we were talking about it right now, and on Tibet issue employability, what is actually the plan here if you think that, what should be implemented actually, and how are we telling the young people, it's all right, we got you, right? But the statistic doesn't show it that way, right? So how do you actually think this thing should be catered to?
Okay, first of all, as a students and as a youth, we must equip ourselves with various of skills and soft skills, either during your university life, like Saudara Nick just now, they just share his experience during university life. Our panel, Saudara Kamil also, just share his experience during his university life. The most important thing is how you reach out there to get yourself equipped with various skills to survive, and also to continue your life after student life, and even during the working life, family life, and to be a good young Malaysians. So the important thing is about the skills that you acquire and you possess. So with regard to the Tibet, maybe as a suggestion or as an overview, to make sure that our Tibet in Malaysia is a world-class Tibet. First, of course, this is most important thing. The course, cursus, seminar, or the skill that we need to gain to survive must be shortened. We are now cannot hold any seminar or courses for the skills until 6 months, 1 year, or 2 years, because sometimes the skills we can get to know using the YouTube, using the online courses and everything. So first, we need to focus on the quality of the courses that we choose, on the quality of the courses that we acquire during especially during your student times. Then we need to have independent or coordinated TVET program. Just now our minister just informed we have 12 ministries that have their own TVET programs. So we need to coordinate and organize all these TVET programs so that it will benefit our youth and our youth can access to the program easily. There must be less bureaucracy, they must be easily accessed, and about the budget, of course, the government must allocate a certain budget to ensure that skilled person meet the requirement and also meet the industry demand. Or otherwise, we are producing lambakan pekerja with unnecessary skills towards our industry. So the TVET institutions, the TVET programs must communicate with the industry demands, or otherwise it will waste of monies, it will waste of time, and it cannot meet the purpose and the objective to empower youth with TVET skills. Especially, of course, we are here in the universities, we have a proper or formal education system or education line. Some of our friends cannot enter universities, even they cannot continue their tertiary educations. So this is most important for them to continue their working life with some skills that they can use the skills to acquire and to get money, salary, and they can afford their life. There are now many opportunities, gig economies, content creator, TikTokers, influencers, and many others. But we must know and we must have in mind this kind of work or this kind of job is not a career. Ianya adalah satu pekerjaan, but bukan kerjaya. But we must have a sustainable job or career to ensure that our youth continue in the national workforce and can contribute to our economy, to our nation building, and towards your own self as a person and as an individuals. So I think that is that we need to focus on. So based on current budget, 2024 for the next year, if I am not mistaken, the government allocate about 6.8 billion to revamp the TVET structure. Of course, with the help of GLC, Petronas, and others, government GLCs. And also, I learned that additional 100 million allocated next year for the professional certifications. So this is among opportunities that are given to our to our youngsters and our youth to grab this opportunity and to equip yourself with the necessary and suitable skills for your own. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dato. I think another issue that I see is not that students doesn't have skill or like we graduate with certain degree, right? But let's say if I graduate from IIUM and I got offered a job, 2.5K, living in KL, I can get 4K if I do Grab full time, for example. So, and most of them would just choose that. Like, why would I go to this route of like, whether corporate or anything, right? When you have to be real, money is the main issue. So unemployability, money, my question to Mr. Kamil, how do you address this?
You see, in 2021, Merdeka Center did a study, research, shows that 70% of SPM leavers, almost 70%, they prefer to be involved in the gig economy rather than pursuing their studies to the higher level. You see why? Because of the tekanan ekonomi, keadaan ekonomi yang menekan kehendak dan juga keperluan masyarakat. You see, that's why we have to be very, objective when it comes to our effort to resolve the very basic fundamental economic problem. You see, because eventually, at the end of the day, it will affect the whole ecosystem, the whole industry, the whole segment. Failing which, kalau kita tak betul-betul address this issue, then any initiative, any effort that we introduce at this juncture, it will be a temporary resolution, rather than we address and tackle the root cause and issues. What is the issue? It's our economy punya fundamental. That's why kita kena perbetulkan semula sistem urus takbir dalam negara. That's why we emphasize on the issue of governance. You imagine if a ministry been allocated with an amount, for example, 10 billion ringgit, to make sure that we can provide affordable housing for the less fortunate people. With the 10 billion ringgit allocation, we can probably build up to what? Probably 50,000 houses. Tapi because you tak ada pengurusan yang baik, you tak ada right attitude, you tidak ada tata kelola yang baik, 10 billion that's supposed to give you 50,000 houses, dia jadi 10,000 houses. 10,000. You see, it's not about, how much allocation been given to a particular, to a specific group or segment per se, but also our fundamental, sikap kita, kepimpinan kita, cara kita mengurus, cara kita mengawal sedia, itu juga adalah merupakan perkara yang penting. That's why right now, what government is doing is to tackle and fix the fundamental issues. Masalah-masalah yang bersifat fundamental. Kerana mana mungkin kita dapat hasilkan satu penyelesaian jangka masa panjang kalau masalah asas kita tak dapat selesaikan. Umpamanya, pelajar yang keluar daripada universiti itu disebut kadang-kadang graduates ni dia ada very high achievement, with the outstanding CGPA and what not. Tapi tak ada nilai, tak ada values. Jumpa dengan orang tak kerti nak respect, tak kerti nak hormat. You don't know how to mingle around with the society, probably because we were caught in the pandemic, which totally changed our behavior, the way how we interact with the people, the way how we think. But being in a university, you see, this is the best platform. What more IIU, the garden of knowledge and virtue. We should appreciate that. We have a lot of courses, purposely, kita wajib ambil few subject. For example, is what? Those days we call it UNGA, UNGA, UNG, UNGAS. UNGAS, sorry, it's not UNGA. UNGAS, still, ada lagi ke UNGAS? Ada, yeah. You see, I just share with you. I remember this one lecturer for UNGAS, Salah Machoche. I don't know whether Dr. Salah Machoche is still here. Have you heard? Still? He was my lecturer. Oh, he was your lecturer, you see. So, I was in ICOL, and this one, yang ajar inheritance, who is the lecturer? Law of inheritance. I lupa nama dia. Ustaz apa ke doktor? No. It's a guy. Ustaz Ismail lah. Dia funny sikit kan? Yes, true. You see, one day, he came to the class, dia pakai kopiah. Then some of the students or friends tanya dia lah, Doc, why you wearing kopiah today? Dia kata, nak jawapan skema ke nak jawapan luar biasa? So kalau what is jawapan skema, of course ini sunnah Nabi. Nabi pakai, kita pakai dapat pahala. But the answer given at that time, dia sangat membuka minda dan fikiran kita. The reason why we have kopiah on our head, masa tu dia cakap lah, kenapa dia pakai kopiah masa tu, ialah so that he can safeguard his conduct dan percakapan dia. Kerana dia rasa malu, kalau dia berpakaian begitu, dia melakukan sesuatu yang melanggari norma, kebiasaan ataupun membuat perkara-perkara ataupun tindakan-tindakan yang berada di luar batasan. Mahupun mengungkap perkataan ataupun kalam ataupun kata-kata yang boleh saja mengguris perasaan dan hati manusia yang lain. Where in the real life we are witnessing a different approach altogether. Sometimes yang pakai kopiah, yang pakai jubah, yang kosmetiknya itu nampak sangat beragama, they tend to utter kata-kata yang mengguris. Tindakan-tindakan yang luar daripada ajaran agama. Sebab tu earlier on, what I said, Nabi itu dia membina kekuatan dan kehebatan diri dia itu melalui akhlak, melalui sasiah yang baik. That's why he was known as Al-Amin. Sebab apa? Sebab dia itu bercakap perkara yang benar, bercakap perkara yang baik dan disenangi oleh semua orang. Kerana apa? First is akhlak, manners, virtues, values. This is what fundamental issues that we have to understand. The fundamental structure teachings yang kita kena faham. Sometimes kita kata sebut tentang soal taharah, soal kebersihan, cleanliness. Belajar daripada sekolah rendah, sekolah menengah, universiti, tapi tandas di masjid masih lagi kotor. Compared to tandas di gereja, umpamanya, misalnya. Kerana apa? Because we focus too much on cosmetic rather than the substance. Sometimes form is more than the substance. That's why these, universities, institution, we have to encourage and promote intellectual discourse. We are living in a democratic societies. In a democratic societies, we tend to have argument and disagreements between us about what is right, what is wrong, about justice and injustice. Because this is a normal process. It will lead to argument, reasoning, solution, and resolution. Because this is how society works. The differences between us is a source of our strength. Perbezaan pandangan dan juga pemikiran di kalangan kita itu ialah merupakan sumber kekuatan kita. Bagaimana mengurusnya? Kita ada perimeter yang ditetapkan. Umpamanya dalam agama itu disebut ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmah. Seru ke jalan Tuhan itu dengan cara yang penuh hikmah. Wal mau'izatil hasanah, dengan nasihat yang baik. Wajadilhum billati hi ahsan. And have argument amongst you in the best manners. Hujah dengan cara yang baik. Because manusia diciptakan dalam keadaan yang sebegitu. You see, sebab tu diajar awal agama itu ditekankan tentang soal membaca, read. You have to read rather than listen. Now our society, we tend to listen rather than read. This TikTok, Instagram, 1 minute video can totally change your mind. Crazy. Yeah, it's true. You see, I contested in the last election. I'm not preaching my political ideology and whatnot, but I'm telling you a real case happening on the ground. I went to a kampung, masuk satu kampung, jumpa satu makcik ni, dia tunjuk dekat I satu video, it's a TikTok video, a group of Chinese people marching in the town, I think somewhere in KL, and then there was a caption. And the video tu dia kata China, communist and Dia mentioned the political party, try to take over the country. Actually, it was a marching band. You see, main marching band. It's nothing to do with racial punya rally and whatnot. Tapi because of that one video, it changed the whole perspective. Kefahaman kita. Sebab apa? Sebab budaya, tradisi keilmuan dalam masyarakat itu sudah jauh meninggalkan kita. Sebab tu peranan golongan muda, belia itu antara lainnya ialah untuk memangkin semula semangat untuk belajar, menuntut ilmu dengan kefahaman dan keyakinan. Dia bukan hanya sekadar for the sake of you attending ceramah, tazkirah, class, lectures, for the sake of you're passing some grades, requirements, prerequisite and whatnot. But you must have patience to learn something new, to improve ourselves. You see, that's why sometimes I tengok ceramah umpamanya, sebahagiannya itu, soalan-soalan yang ditanyakan itu semuanya berkisar tentang persoalan hukum. Persoalan hukum, the most question being asked to the scholars, I mean the preachers yang ada di Malaysia ni, say, Ustaz, apa hukum tertelan? You see? I mean, that question has been repeated so many times. In fact, nowadays you can just Google and the result will appear immediately and you can know the views of the scholars on that. Tetapi kenapa ditanyakan di khalayak awam? Kerana it is an entertainment. Dia memberikan keseronokan kepada para pendengar, para hadirin. Melucukan. Jawapan itu diolah dengan cara yang melucukan. Tetapi kita tidak bicara tentang soal asas, tentang soal kemanusiaan, tentang soal justice, tentang soal freedom. And our society is being trapped with the connotation of some phrase or some words might connote to liberalism, secularism. You see, if you talk about justice, it sounds so Western. Tapi you sebut perkataan al-hurriyah umpamanya, is freedom, dia tak maksudnya kebebasan. It sounds so Islamic. Do you realize that this is actually happening in our daily life? You see, kita tak faham. Memakai jubah umpamanya itu dianggap sunnah. Tetapi the context is that you pakai pakaian kebangsaan, itu pun dianggap sebagai sunnah. Saya selalu sebut kalau Nabi itu turun di Texas, dia akan pakai jeans Levi's dan juga baju kemeja. Kalau Al-Quran itu turun di Malaysia, dia akan sebut warambutan wadurian, dia tak sebut watini wazaitun. You have to understand the context. Sometimes I just came back from Egypt, Prime Minister, before official visit to Egyptian President, General Abdul Fattah As-Sisi, had a discourse, ramah mesra, with the students in Cairo. Amazing. Penuh dewan itu. And one of the questions being asked to the Prime Minister is, bila Malaysia nak laksanakan hukuman syariah? You see? I mean, when actually we can really practice the teaching of Islam. For example, Sharia. Is that a fundamental question? Because the Sharia has always been understood in the way that what has been portrayed to us. You see that this is the set of rules, hukum dia begini, murtad, kena bunuh, mencuri, potong tangan. No. Actually, when we talk about Sharia ni, the first thing is about justice. How we make sure that our system now can afford to make sure that justice is being served fairly and equally to all the people. You see, mungkin penal code umpamanya, for example, kanun keseksaan, it sounds so British. By the way, we inherit the penal code from Indian penal code. You see, We were colonized by the British, and that's why our law, most of our laws, semua kita inherit from the colonial. Penal code, for example, this is undang-undang penjajah. This is not our law. But do you realize that this penal code is a part of ta'zir? You see, penal code sounds so Western. You see what we call ta'zir? Ini bunyinya sounds so Islamic. So that's why kita orang muda jangan mudah terikut dengan sentimen yang dimainkan. Kita kena yakin, kita kena faham, dan kita kena cerna tentang apa sahaja maklumat yang disampaikan. That's why kerajaan hari ini, we are trying to fix these fundamental issues. Cakap tentang soal ekonomi, urus takbir, kedudukan kewangan kita, perbelanjaan kita, cara mengurus, elakkan bocor dan tiris, hentikan penyalahgunaan kuasa dan rasuah. If we can cater this with this few years yang mendatang ini, yang akan datang ini, insya-Allah kita cadang dalam masa 7 tahun ini, umpamanya kita dapat bentangkan satu belanjawan yang berimbang. Maksudnya pendapatan kerajaan itu cukup untuk menampung perbelanjaan kerajaan pada tahun yang berikutnya. Kalau kita lihat sekarang ini, dasar-dasar ataupun pendekatan kerajaan, umpamanya tentang soal subsidi, itu untuk kita pastikan bahawa subsidi yang diberikan menepati tujuan dan matlamatnya, iaitu untuk golongan yang memerlukan. Right now, subsidi is being given to everyone, termasuk yang kaya. Jadi kalau kita boleh datangkan satu pendekatan yang baru, subsidi bersasar umpamanya itu, boleh menjimatkan banyak wang kerajaan. Sekarang ini belanja subsidi 81 bilion. Kalau kita ada subsidi bersasar, mungkin kita boleh reduce to 40% or even 30%. So daripada sini penjimatan wang-wang ini kita boleh gunakan untuk program-program yang lain, meningkatkan kualiti kehidupan, inisiatif program-program yang lain, dan mewujudkan peluang pekerjaan dengan gaji yang lebih berkualiti dan bermaruah. Ini cara bagaimana kita nak capai kemakmuran dalam keadaan yang sekarang ini, kerana kita juga tahu jurang ataupun kesenjangan di antara kos sara hidup dan pendapatan itu semakin melebar. Dia tidak bergerak seiringan. Dan ini adalah cabaran kita yang kita perlu perbaiki, kerana kalau dahulu kita boleh membandingkan kekuatan ekonomi negara kita dengan negara yang dahulunya kita setara, umpamanya Taiwan, Korea Selatan dan beberapa negara lain, Hong Kong dan sebagainya, tapi kini mereka jauh meninggalkan kita. Jadi ini adalah cabaran kepimpinan kerajaan yang ada pada hari ini, iaitu untuk memperbaiki sistem dan juga tata kelola yang ada supaya kita dapat kembalikan kekuatan ekonomi, seterusnya memulihkan keadaan ekonomi dalam negara. Terima kasih.
I very much agree with this obsession over labeling something, right? I think I actually wrote one article about how we shouldn't be obsessed in labeling anything, whether it's like Islamist, liberal or something. And sometimes when you do that, you tend to lose the real value of the truth, of the innate of what you actually believe in. And I think it happens a lot among the youth when you only stay within your own group. So what I can say is go out, question your belief, why you believe what you believe, mingle with a lot of people, re-question your belief, relearn things. If not, then there's no purpose lah. There's no purpose to believe in begin with. Okay, I'll go to the last question with Brother Nick before we take the question from the audience. Brother, I think taking the route of as an entrepreneur, right? Not a lot of people are able to do it because it's very risky. It involves a lot of risks. You just don't want to deal with the risks, and it's not a very clear route. Like if I join, for example, corporate or anything, I can see, oh, this is what I'm doing. If I be a lawyer now, then, oh, in a few years' time, I might be a senior lawyer or anything. But like things like business and anything, I think a lot of people don't want to do it because of how unconventional it is. So what would be your advice and what would be your tip to the young people to pursue what you're doing now?
I think that goes without saying that if you want to choose something that is different from what you study in university, have a gut. Take the calculated risk. I mean, that situation where you want to be, take calculated risk. Calculated risk meaning that you assess the risk and the risk and the potential in something that you want to do. So, actually ramai yang tanya I macam ni, dia tanya dalam Instagram lah. I ada buat soalan kan Q&A, so dia tanya, kenapa stop jadi lawyer? Dah belajar 6 tahun, dah 7 tahun jadi lawyer, kenapa stop? Kenapa tak praktis? Kenapa tiba-tiba jadi content creator? Kenapa tiba-tiba masuk business? So jawapan I simple je, rezeki Allah tu luas. Jangan kita limitkan kita punya pandangan kepada apa yang kita nampak je. Sebab kita belajar law, so kita nampak law je, kita tak nampak benda lain. Tapi dia punya peluang tu luas. I kenal kawan I kan, dia from the same university, IIUM, nama dia Haziq. So he's a student in IIUM as well. Tapi dia buat part time jual dekat Shopee. And guess berapa yang dia dapat sebulan? Just by selling inner mask sejuk time COVID hari tu. So dia dapat, time tu dia jual inner mask sejuk. Total quantity tu around 40,000 pieces. So dia dapat profit RM10 per mask. So total dia dapat berapa? 400,000, almost 400,000 per month. And opportunity tu luas. Dia sebab tu saya cakap, digital literacy is important as a youth. As a youth, okay, we have all the youth empowerment punya initiative. We have public discourse on youth empowerment and what we have right now, forum on youth empowerment. But there's certain skills that we need to have as well, which is, I believe that goes without saying, the leadership skills, as well as digital literacy. Because with digital and social media, you can actually, leverage the digital resources to education, lectures, teaching people through social media. You can leverage that digital resources to self-expression. If you want to share about your experience, your hiking journey, your law journey, your business journey, it can be a self-expression. Another thing is you can leverage it to your own personal and professional growth, marketing, branding, and monetize through digital. So that's one of the examples lah. I know friends also, a friend of mine, sebab, when you are in business and entrepreneur industry, you got to mingle a lot with people from the same industry. So I know people who do live streaming at TikTok. Just for 2 hours, she got around 20,000 ringgit. And I ada time tu, memang I sebab kita nak belajar, we want to learn. So I ada during dia punya live, so I nampak dia punya unit sold tu naik, increasing. So sebelum I panjang lagi, what's the question again? Apa tadi?
Actually, you're answering already, lah. Like how I also forgot that. It's basically.
What's the question just now? I forgot.
Can I explain to everyone?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Changing in
You
career
get it.
path.
Okay,
Okay,
alright.
back to that question. Changing in career path. So I see the potential. I felt a strong passion and potential in doing business. Law is one thing. Definitely, I love law. It covers many areas of human life. Contract law, we learn about Sharia law, we learn about criminal law. If you took elective, we learn about competition law, we learn about medical law. It covers many areas of human life. And the fact that I love law does not prejudice the fact that I love business as well. So there's a conflict of interest. So I need to focus on one thing. That's why it's important as a youth for you to strike balance in your life. You can do everything. Be in politics, contribute to social development, and then focus on your academic. But strike a balance. Do all things, but focus more on what aligns to your goals. So for me, I think I felt a strong passion in doing business, especially Recon Car, because Recon Car, the profit margin is quite big. And then it can grow to not only to Recon Car, we can go to used car, can go to new car, and as a side hustle as well, I do a content creator. So I think my life is good. I'm happy with my life. And that's all what's important. You got money and you got that, apa orang panggil? Satu perasaan yang tenang. So I think I hope that answered your question just now. So I believe changing career is something that is apa orang panggil, dia bukan something yang buruk pun. As long as you do the calculated risk. Janganlah tiba-tiba drop law tapi tak ada backup plan. End up menganggur, tak ada kerja. So itu je. Thank you.
So plan ahead, my friend. If you're ICOL, law is not the only option. Okay, I think we go straight to the Q&A that I received here. So the first one, I think I'll address this to Dato'. How are we supposed to handle those who are much older and experienced who seems to be triggered by our new ideas and efforts? How are we supposed to handle those who are much older and experienced who seems to be triggered by our new ideas and efforts?
Again, to answer and to address that issues or that questions is go back to our skills, our communication skills, and also how we can convince the older people about whatever our thoughts or our aspirations to make them understand. And we first need to understand them first. Then we can communicate and we can make them understand well. Because like we discussed just now, we are in a different generations. During my time, maybe Facebook. Masih lagi Facebook. Then later on Twitter. After Twitter, we have Instagram. People only post on pictures. So now we have audio visual. TikTok, short videos, have pictures and informative presentation in TikToks. This is different generations. So we need to have soft skills. I think perkara-perkara seperti ini kita akan develop throughout our experience. And as an advice, maybe as a seniors, we are a lot here from ICOL. I don't want to discuss more about the law, but how we can mingle around and how we can communicate with the community and our friends. So this is more important. Again, during my study time, of course, we are facing the same challenges. First, to complete our study, to complete whatever degree you are doing now. And then we need to plan for the future. Then we have another challenge after graduated, to get job or employment. But you need to ask yourself first, what is your goals? Macam saudara Nick bagi tahu, if your goals to be a millionaire, to be a businessman, then you cannot be a salaryman. You must do entrepreneurships. You must do entrepreneurships. You must have entrepreneur punya mind untuk you berniaga. Kalau you rasa you nak berada dalam comfort zone, very comfortable, you just be a salaryman. Saya dah melalui that period, changing career path, starting from practicing chambering, then practicing as a lawyer, then going to corporate as in-house legal advisor or in-house legal counsel in Petronas, very comfort, good salary, good privilege, everything good. Then jump into politics, back into politics, very uncertain. And what make it worse, our politics in Malaysia juga uncertain. So double down, dua kali uncertain. Politik dah uncertain, and then your career development also terjejas. So macam saudara Nik bagi tahu, you must have to calculate or calculated risk in whatever decision you make. It same goes if you want to communicate with the elders. You must calculate it, but you must articulate and ambil peduli, and also kena memahami the current situations, perceptions, and the needs. Apa yang you nak sampaikan, apa yang you nak you nak escalate kepada whoever lah. Ini adalah your soft skill lah, berkenaan dengan you cannot learn this in your courses dekat universities, whatever course yang you ambil. Ini adalah university of life. You kena melalui university of life ni. Macam mana you nak belajar untuk kehidupan. Ni pun sebahagian daripada perkara yang kita perlu empower youth, so that dia tidak terikat dan dia boleh independent. Otherwise our youth, dia always being spoon feeded. Dia tak boleh berdiri di atas kaki sendiri. They cannot be independent. They cannot make any decision even for themselves. Kita kena ada keberanian lah in whatever decision we make, dan kita kena ada calculated risk. And as an addition, macam saudara Nick saya tertarik tadi, sebab the objective adalah macam dia bagi tahu tadi. Some of his friend can make 400,000 just selling mask, face mask, 400,000. Tapi the goals lah, tengok jadi apa. Because this is benda yang you boleh monetize. You cannot be a leaders, you cannot be a political leaders, you cannot be a leaders in any organizations with that position you want to monetize. Then that's wrong. Then come back to saudara Kamil bagi tahu tadi, tata kelola, governance and everything. You must have the accountability. You must possess the responsibility in whatever position you held. Samalah macam keadaan saya sekarang as Presiden Majlis Belia Negeri Selangor. This is position that I cannot monetize. I cannot monetize with my positions. But you must have a career. You must have an employment. Now I'm practicing back lah as a practicing lawyer, advocate and solicitor with my own firms. Then it come another challenges, another career path in your career journey during your lifetime. So you will progress, but the most important thing you must have in your mind is you must know how to reach out. You cannot live alone. You must mingle around and get connected with people around you. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much, Dato'. Maybe I got one last question for Bruni and one last question for Mr. Kamil. So for Brother Nick, which aspects should a student focus on more, the financial opportunity or the national growth? The financial opportunity or the national growth? Like sometimes people think that when they focus on their financial, it's like as if they are very
personal and public
instead of the community, you're just benefiting yourself, right? Like, so what do you think about that?
I think it's equally important lah. Public and private interests, public goals and your private goals. Because, the expectations are there. The youth, you should be all-rounded individuals, meaning that you should be good at academic, you should be socially relevant and politically engaged, and that expectation can be reflected in our universities' policies, and government's policies, and even the employers' preferences, they prefer more someone who have extra skills. And Private and public goals. Definitely, some people just want to live in harmonic way. They just want to live for themselves. But if you focus more on social responsibility, if you join programs and events and societies under the university, it will instill in you the sense of responsibility. So this sense of responsibility does not only extend to your family, but it also extends to your society. So it's important for you to acknowledge the public goal as well apart from your private goals. So I ada je kawan yang I sendiri pun kadang-kadang terfikir kan, I tak nak join politik. I just want something yang for myself, for my own interest. Tapi this thing is going on yang menyebabkan I trigger my sense of responsibility. Contoh what is going on in Palestine. So what's going on in Palestine is basically, I can see that we are working towards that, towards social contribution to the social development, where everyone is sharing through their social media about Palestine. This shows that we are concerned about the public interest as well, about what's happening not only in our society, but extend to the countries outside of our Malaysia. So for me personally, to answer that question directly, it goes without saying that both are equally important, which is private and public interest.
All right, thank you so much, Madani. And last question. Okay, so what advice do you have for young individuals interested in pursuing a career in politics?
This is my sincere advice. Jangan jadi pak turut. You see, in politics, sometimes because we adore to some of our leaders, some prominent figures, and that's most of the time will be the main consideration why we follow that path or why we follow this group. You see, I joined groups, student movement during my university times. With PAS, I'm friends with kawan-kawan in the UIA, we call it Wawasan, Club Wawasan. Those Wufi, Wawasan, we have this ABIM, Ikram group of students and whatnot. You mingle around, never look down on the other side or other group. You see, those days I noticed one trend of the students. Dia ada rasa yang he belongs to certain group of people. They feel very proud. They feel very secured, in terms of, their title and, darjatnya, kedudukannya itu beda dengan yang lain. Itu yang sikap awal. You see why? Dalam penciptaan, kisah penciptaan Nabi Adam alaihissalam, kalau kita soroti dan kita kenung dan kita lihat, itu banyak pengajaran. Pengajarannya apa yang pertama? Bila Tuhan itu firman kepada para malaikat, the penjaga, the guardians, itu that I want to create a khalifah, a successor. Dia tak sebut manusia, sebut khalifah, iaitu successor. Then what malaikat respond at that time? Kata malaikat, ataj'alu fiha, apakah engkau nak jadikan di atasnya mayusidu fiha, mereka yang akan melakukan kerosakan, mafsadah, kebajetan, wa yasfikud dima'a, yang akan menumpahkan darah, wa nahnu nusabbihu bihamdika wa nuqaddis lak, sedangkan kami ini sentiasa bertasbih, bersuluk, mengabdikan diri kepada engkau. Jadi you see, what is the underlying message? The underlying message is that it is nature in the creation for us to have a different opinion. You can always, express your dissatisfaction, your disagreements. Because sometimes in our society, we have been taught that the more question you ask, the more reasons to say that you are among the ignorance. You see, you don't understand. Sesungguhnya mereka yang banyak bertanya itu dalamnya terdapatlah ciri-ciri lemah imannya. You see, that's how you shut down the argument. You see, you can't question. But you see, sometimes you say, this is a decision has been made by our leaders. We have to bind the decision. And, apa yang the term that has been used, I remember, it's not just these few years, but those days during in uni time, you have to wala. You see, you have to taat, obey, loyal. You see, bagaimana kita boleh surrender our intellectual capacity and capability where in principle kita tak bersetuju, we disagree. You see? So sometimes because of this character, this approach, this attitude, that leads us, some of us, towards arrogant. Kita jadi sombong. Dan malaikat itu dicela, bukan malaikat, iblis itu dihina dan dicela. It's not because of they don't believe in the existence of God. No. It's because of what? Because they are arrogant. They were arrogant. What was the instruction given? Usjudu li Adama. Sujud kepada Adam. Fasajadu, the rest of the guardians of the malaikah, they prostrate towards Adam as a sign of respect. It's not as a sign of, it's a part of, sebagai Tuhan dan sebagainya. No, it's a sign of respect. Illa iblis. Except those, a group of guardians of malaikah yang kemudian digelar sebagai iblis, yang dicipta daripada nar, api. The other side is being created by nur, iaitu cahaya. You see nuansa yang sama, nar and nur. Apa sifatnya? Kedua-dua memberikan cahaya. You see, that's why dulu digelar semua ini sebagai malaikah. And then the rebellious one tu digelar sebagai iblis. Balasa yablasu iblis. You see, yang memberontak, yang revolt. Sebab apa? Sebab dia sombong dan takabur. It's not because of dia itu tidak percaya kepada Tuhan. You see, this is fundamental. Sebab apa dia sombong? Dia kata, aku diciptakan daripada api. Sedangkan Adam itu dicipta daripada tanah. Mana mungkin aku harus sujud memberi penghormatan kepada Adam? You see, this is a matter of aqidah, kepercayaan. If we think that we are better than the rest of other people in this world, our group, our race, our lineage is better than the rest, no, we inherit that characteristic of iblis. You see, that is a danger. That is a danger of being, ignorance. That's why nasihat, in whatever we do in our life, whether you want to pursue in politics, academics, corporate, sports, arts, we have to maintain the virtues. We have to seek knowledge and understanding. Ini yang disebut excellence without a soul. You may excel dalam apa sahaja bidang yang diceburi, but if you don't have the soul, you tak ada jiwa, you don't have the understanding, you don't have trust, you tak ada keyakinan, then you will sustain. You tak boleh nak mampan. Jadi nasihat ataupun pesanan perkongsian saya kepada brothers and sisters, if you were to pursue in politics, you see, you have to be more than the ordinary politicians. Don't be among the mediocre. Jangan jadi yang biasa-biasa. Being someone that can lead to change. Being a reformer. Being a politician is not always about criticism. You know how to critique, but you must also able to come with a solution. You see, you critics and you give solution. You see, when the Prime Minister introduced the initiative, for example, to put an end to the issue of hardcore poverty, kemiskinan tegar. You see, generally, in principle, everyone, all the members, regardless of whether government side or opposition side, we have to support this initiative. It is a good initiative. But you see, what is the approach taken by some of the politicians? You see, because they don't agree with the Prime Minister, because of political reason, you know, being opposition, for example, in our political arena in this country, we always act literally based on the term opposition, which means that you have to oppose to every single thing that has been proposed. So that is very wrong. You see, kalau inisiatif itu ialah inisiatif yang baik, membasmi kemiskinan, memberi makan kepada orang susah. Allazina yat'imuna ta'ama ala hubbihi miskina wa yatima wa asira. Itu memberi makan kepada orang susah, anak yatim, orang miskin, pada tawanan, golongan yang memerlukan. Ini adalah merupakan perkara yang dituntut dalam agama. Sebab itu kalau disebut, itu kadang-kadang kita hairan. Ada beberapa kelompok ataupun pemimpin itu yang datangkan hujah agama just purposely to rebut politically. We don't agree because in religion, in Islam, there is such term. There's no such term as membasmi kemiskinan tegar. You see, because if we eradicate this hardcore poverty, who will receive the zakat money then? You see, at the other end, during the lecture, you see, or during tazkirah, or during ceramah, we preach a different approach. For example, we bring the story of Khalifah Umar Abdul Aziz. Itu zaman dia itu, Baitul Mal itu tidak disentuh. Kerana apa? Kerana sistem ekonomi, dasar ekonominya itu membebas rakyat dan juga manusia daripada belenggu kemiskinan dan kelaparan. Oh, we preach nicely to the people. Look, this is the governance of Caliph, of Islamic legacy, you know. But when we face with the reality on the ground, we tend to take a different approach. Not because of in principle we disagree, but rather because of political disagreement. And that's why, you see, kalau ada yang nak menceburi bidang politik, kita kena jadi luar daripada yang biasa-biasa. Jadi seorang yang lebih faham dan hargai nilai-nilai asas kemanusiaan dan juga agama yang menekankan tentang soal nilai kefahaman rather than apa yang sering dipraktiskan ataupun ditunjukkan oleh tokoh-tokoh yang ada pada hari ini, iaitu cerminan pemikiran melalui kosmetik semata-mata. Sekian, wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much. Can I get another round of applause for all of the speakers today? Sure, all of us learn more than a thing or two, so it's high time to reflect and hopefully implement it in our life, inshallah. So as I started with the pantun, let me end with the pantun as well. Bunga seroja di atas para, anak dusun pasang pelita. Andai kata tersilap bicara, cemari disusun, maaf dipinta. Sekian, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'll pass back the floor to the MC.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, with that marks the end of our program. Hence, I would like to invite the Principal of Mahalla Semaya, Dr. Shamshina, accompanied by the Program Manager of this talk, Sister Hakima Sakina, to the stage to present the token of appreciation to the panelists. Please welcome. On to the first speaker, Please welcome Datuk Muhammad Imran bin Tamri. Please welcome Mr. Kamil Muni. Please welcome Brother Nick Izzuddin Omari. Please welcome Sister Farida Hani. Thank you, Dr. Shamshina and the program manager. You may return to your seat. I would like to request the panelists to return to your seats for photography session. With that, on behalf of the committees, I would like to thank the speakers for attending our talk and to the participants for attending tonight's program. And with that, I end tonight's program with Tasbih al-Farad and Suratul As.